Hey, what's up, everybody? This is part two. We're going to take a look at theta here, and we're going to look at the quarterly candle. And then I'm going to circle back to SHIB from our previous video. But first, the monthly chart, you can see, right? We've been going down, 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 and then we kind of went down again, and then we're kind of leveling off, leveling off. You can see the dojis. You can kind of figure, right, that we're getting close to a bottom here and a reversal at some point, right? You can see very clearly 3 waves up, right? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A. 3 waves up. There's your B. But first, the bearish way would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's your C. And we still have 4 and 5 to go. Hopefully that's not the case, right? Otherwise, you would say that, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This whole thing is your B wave, right? So that's what I'm thinking here. I'm thinking this is a trap, and it's, it's got the look that it's going to crash, but I think it's a trap. Because, well, first, if we look at the quarterly candle, there's nothing special here. You got a little bit of a doji. You got a 3-way pullback. You're right on support. So there's really nothing too special there. I did a whole XRP video about Bitcoin and XRP and SHIB. So if you want to check that out. So this is the part 2 video. But essentially here, I think there's a very, very good chance we bottom. The reason why I think we bottomed here, and I'm glad, right? Because if this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that could have been the bottom. But I'm glad that we had 4 and 5, because now there's no doubt in my mind we have 5 waves, right? We have 1, 2, all of this is wave 3, then we get wave 4, and then we get wave 5. But look at this wick right here. You see that little line? You see that doji wick? It went right below, right here, and you can see that we had essentially, let's just do this. We had a liquidity grab right there, right? So we had that wick, and then we also had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we had the wick, and we had we sliced through it, right? So I think there's a good chance that it's over. So now we officially have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then, do we have the bullish divergence though? And yes, boy, do we. I mean, we have extreme bullish divergence. I mean, look at that. I mean, that's pretty extreme there. That's on the 3-day chart as well. So we can bump this up to the weekly. This is the weekly chart, and we have bullish divergence. So that's pretty rare. It's very difficult to get bullish divergence on the weekly. You can see the last time we got bullish divergence, we had a big rally here. You can see right here how we came down, right? And we came down. We popped up, right? We had the low, pop up, right? And then we came down, we made a lower low, ever so slightly, right? And this barely did it, but this one was more of a low. But you could see we have bullish divergence there and bullish divergence here. Now, what happened? What was the result of this? Well, if we look, you can see we literally rallied from this low here all the way up. We went up almost 600% from getting that weekly bullish divergence. So we have a 3-way pullback. We have 5 waves. We have bullish divergence on the weekly. We're at the lows. Bitcoin is in a 3-wave formation. XRP is in a 4th wave expanded flat. Looks like it's going to break. The stock market's at an all-time high, basically. So, I mean, come on. I mean, we're right there. So what do we need? We need the big, beautiful bill. We need more spending. We need regulations. We need the crypto bill, right? So Congress, is a cockroach infested sack of crap. Honestly, they can't do anything. They're useless. So to get things done is ridiculous. What it would be actually kind of cool if everybody can vote, right? So we vote for the senators so that they can vote for the bill. Well, instead of having that, why don't we just vote ourselves, right? Everybody has a blockchain app or a blockchain account, right? An account, what does that even mean? A vote, right? So you can't hack it, you can't screw with it. So everybody can vote on the bill, right? And then you can move things faster, right? But anyway, that'll never happen. But it's probably a bad idea. Anyways, so yeah, that's theta. Let's look at the small time frames now. The small time frames are a bit questionable because, yeah, on one hand we do have the divergence, but the issue I have is I don't have anything I can latch onto except the higher time frames. On the smaller time frames, all I have, guys, is a 3-wave move. That's it. So I really hope this turns into a flat. And what I mean by that is that we have an impulse, boom, and then we have A, B, and then we come down for C. And then we go up. That would be perfect. So that's what I really hope to see here. And to be quite honest, it could already be done, right? We have 3 down. We have 3 up. This could be 3 down right here. It's a little small, but it still could be a running flat. Now, I would prefer it to come down a little bit more to get that better looking shape, because it's all about shape and structure and feel and how it looks. So, yeah, I think that's our only hope right now is for this to be a flat, right? And then we continue popping to the upside. So I don't know if this is just going to keep pushing up like this. If it did that, then it would be more of a 3-wave move. It would be more 3-wave-ish. And then you'd need a 4, then a 5, right? So definitely have some work cut out for theta for sure. And I just don't know how the bull run is going to shape up, because if Bitcoin only has, a small amount of time left, right? Because again, when you look at Bitcoin here, it looks like it's done. Like it looks like it's basically, you don't really have much time left. Let's go to the, when you zoom out here, we've been going up since 23, right? So all of 23, all of 24, and then half of 25. So, and when you look at it, we're trending up, right? So Bitcoin is moving up for the last 2.5 years, but altcoins have been just not really good, except for XRP and a couple of them. But so then if I overlay theta on top of this son of a gun, you can see, right, Bitcoin moves first, then theta moves later on. Well, look at this. Look at the divergence we're seeing. That's why I think at some point we're going to see the biggest alt season in the history of our country, in the history of our world, right? In the history of crypto. And you can say, well, why do you think that? Well, because this coming alt season, number 1, we have Trump. Number 2, we have a president that actually supports crypto. Number 3, we need regulations, utility, ETF. We're going to have more structure, right? Because it's all about building the rails, right? Like Coinbase, the infrastructure of Coinbase, the infrastructure of the exchanges, the infrastructure of everything's being built out over the last 10 years, right? So now is, when we get this alt season, and another reason why it's being suppressed too is because the Fed had their rates raised, right? We had quantitative tightening, right? We had a macro, kind of like a recession. We had inflation. So that's really putting a stop to the crypto growth spurt. But when you suppress something, and then eventually when we do lower rates and we do get quantitative easing, then at some point you're going to see a big snap back, because you can see the divergence forming, right? This is diverging, right? You can see the two assets are diverging when in reality they should be correlated. You can see they're correlated in here, right? They're both moving up, they're both moving down, but Bitcoin's moving up very strongly, but Theta's kind of cocking back. It's like a shotgun and it's cocking back, right? So eventually, we should see some type of divergence play out here. So, but my point is, if Bitcoin is already finished, let's say Bitcoin gets another little push to the upside. Well, that only gives us a little bit of time. So how much time does Theta need to actually break its all-time high? I don't think it's going to break its all-time high. Unfortunately, not this cycle. I don't see it unless we have a super cycle, right? Which we don't know. And you can say, well, what the hell is a super cycle? Well, if, for example, let's zoom out here. If Bitcoin, for example, did something like this, where we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we had a 3-wave pullback, something like that. That took maybe a year or so, and basically a year bear market, and then another 5-wave move up. And then all throughout here, we have major alt seasons, right? As opposed to what everyone thinks, which is something like this, right? Something massive. So basically a bear market, right? So if a Bitcoin bear market is right around the corner because of how many waves we have, because we've been going up for so long, then what does that mean for altcoins? Does that mean altcoins are really going to go in a bigger, deeper bear market? I mean, it's possible. So we don't really know how this story unfolds, because previous cycle, everything was sort of in unison. It was matched up. It was a little bit off, but it was basically a normal cycle. The cycle before that, this was the best cycle ever, because of how massive it was, not just for Bitcoin, but for everything. It was really, this is the cycle that really put crypto on the map, right? And then this cycle was, it ended very quickly. And now everyone's like, because most people missed this cycle, or they got the tail end of it. And then this cycle, people didn't sell because it was so short. They thought it was going to go longer. And then this cycle, people are also struggling because the altcoins aren't moving. So, that's why I'm primarily in XRP, because I feel like XRP is in the best position to take advantage of all of the divergence we've seen with Bitcoin and the altcoins, right? Because if you look at Bitcoin dominance, it's going up, right? So we don't want that. We want Bitcoin dominance to go down. XRP is at 231 now. What? Let's go. That's a good thing. All right. And I always circle back to XRP because it's the best looking chart for the moment. I don't care about this coin or that coin. All I care about, and all you care about, I can tell you, is getting rich. That's what it's all about. And people don't like to say that because they want to be modest and they want to be politically correct and all that. No. We all want to get rich. Don't be ashamed of saying that. That's what we want. So it doesn't matter if it's dog poop coin or cat paw coin or XRP, whatever. If the chart shows a move, then, So in this case, XRP is showing the biggest move ever because it has the biggest sideways base. Look at this flat here. A, B, C. Look how long it took. It's really a triangle, but you can see it took 7 years, right? So we were just talking about a theta three-way pullback that took 1 year. This has taken 7 years, right? And you can say, well, that's bad. No, 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 that's good. That's what you want. And you can say, well, how's that so? Because look, that's what happened here, right? Same thing. Rise, crash, retrace, rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, sideways, blast off, let's go, right? So this is the setup you need in order to get this setup, right? I don't care about anything else on this chart other than getting that. That is the primary focus, right? Is getting the big, big, big move. So I think that big ass move is coming because, why? Because again, when you look at Bitcoin, actually, let me see if I could put Bitcoin on the screen here. I guess that works. Okay, so you could see during this cycle, right? You know, Bitcoin had a cycle, then it had another bear market, a cycle, another bear market, another cycle. So a lot of moves, right? While that was going on, you can see the trajectory is up. But when you look at XRP, right, it's different. It's got more of a sideways structure to it, which is what you want for getting that explosive move to the upside. So XRP, unlike Theta, doesn't need a lot of time. It only needs a couple weeks, and it can make it to $10. It can go to $10 in a couple days, guys. That's how fast it can move. And if you don't believe me, watch this. Let's take this off. Let's go up to the weekly chart. And let's look at this. Look how long. Let's talk about the percentage from here. Let's just look at this candle right here. Okay, that candle took 7 days, obviously, and it went up 320%. All right. So if we go up, so we know XRP can go up. What the hell did I just do? Okay, there we go. If we go up 320% just for fun, where we are right here, you know, and I go up 320%, that gives me $9 right there. And that literally can take 7 days. So that's why I'm not worried about XRP. I know XRP is gonna, well, you don't know for sure, but I'm pretty damn confident. I mean, my money is where my mouth is. So I believe that there's no other coin out there that has the ability to make its move other than XRP. But here's the thing. You can say, well, what about Theta? Well, Theta can actually have more percentages, but it's not going to get to the all-time high, right? So we're only talking 300%. That's why I kind of like Theta better. I like Theta better. Why? Because remember that 320%. If I go up 320%, right? That doesn't even get me to the to the swing high here. Okay? So just by, guys, think of this for a second here. And this is why percentages mean everything, right? Come on. So if you look at this right here, okay, and we look at XRP. So here's XRP right here, like this, and here's XRP right there, okay? So that's the XRP chart, and what it's got to do is go up 320 to between 300 and 400% in order to get to $10. And then boom, there it is. And it's going to be a big highlight, right? But the thing is Theta can actually outperform XRP, even though Theta is not going to even get near the all-time high. Why? Because it has so much more upside potential, but it has more. But the reason why I prefer XRP, you know, for more safety reasons, is because XRP has less resistance. XRP should move first. XRP should be the leader, right? Whereas Theta, as it moves up, it can move all the way back up to here, and it'll be the same percentage as XRP going to $10. So you see what I mean, right? So which one would you rather have? Well, you know, it's all about preference. Which one do I think is more likely to happen? Well, I think XRP is more likely, even though it should be harder because it's taking so many more billions of dollars to move the price, right? But I still think that Theta will outperform XRP by a lot, right? Because remember, in order to get back to the all-time high for theta, we have to go up 2,242% just to get back to the all. Not even talking about price discovery, just to get to the all-time high. Now, if you look at that with XRP, oh my God. So we'll say 2,300%, a little less than 2,300%. But okay, so we got 2,200% or so. So if we go all the way up, you're looking at $52, guys. 2,200 up to 2,300. So let's say between 50 and 55 bucks. That is massive. Now think about that for a second. What's more likely to happen? Theta getting back to the all-time high. Sounds simple, right? Or XRP getting all the way up to $55. Which one's more likely? I don't really know, but I want to say theta, right? Obviously, because it's already proved that it can do it, right? Because if I look at this as a wave 1 and this is a wave 2, so 1 A B C 2, and then we go up for that 3. I mean, it's going to take more time, but I think it's going to be more rewarding later on. So how do I play it? What's the strategy? Well, it's called the art of the deal. No, it's called art of the rotation, right? So I have a lot of XRP. That's my biggest holding. When do I want to rotate my gold coin into something else? Well, I don't want to rotate it now. I want to wait until the prophecy is made, right? So... and this is going to go into the members video that I'm going to put out. It's a little bit of a teaser, but essentially, if we look at XRP, so here we got both charts side by side here, right? Side by side, and let's put there's the all-time high, and here is Theta's all-time high with a massive, like almost $17, okay? So you could see the differences in the chart. Right? Now Theta is one of my favorite cryptos. I think it did one of the best bull runs in history. I mean, it started off a couple pennies, guys, a couple pennies, and it went all the way up to $17. That is huge. And if that was a wave 1, I can't even imagine what wave 3 and 5 are going to be like, right? Where versus XRP, you already had your wave 1 down here. Now it could be the same, right? When you look at it like this here, it could be like 1 2 1 2 3 3, and then you boom boom, right? Boom, and then let's say this comes up, this comes down, and then there's your 3-way move up. Then you have to come down, then sideways, then come down, then come sideways, then get to this point here, then get to that point, and then that's when you can break out. And that could take a lot longer than XRP, because I feel like XRP, all it has to do, guys, all it has to do is break this right here. So this little flag, which we already broke, and we're building a base, this could literally happen very, 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 very soon. All it has to do is break out. And then once it does that, it's in full initiation. It's in full momentum, full price discovery, all-time high XRP, headline, ETF, ammunition, right? So it's going to propel, it's going to explode, hopefully, the price, right? And that's why I'm still sticking with XRP. But then once XRP gets to its target, right, what does the art of rotation include? Well, it depends where Theta is at that moment. So if let's say XRP, and you know what, sometimes it doesn't even matter. I can have $50 in XRP and $50 in Theta, and in 6 months, which one's going to have more money? They could literally be the same. Why? Because remember, if XRP only has 300 to 400% left in the gas tank, that's only a 3 to 4x. Well, Theta can spit that out easily, right? But which one is going to come first? That's the question. Which one happens first? I think XRP happens first. That's why you want to be in XRP, right? And then, you know, once that target has been met, and you don't even have to wait till $10. XRP can go up to $5, $6. You can sell it all at $6, rotate it into theta before theta breaks this high to get an extra 100 or 200%. So if we only have 300 to 400% to work with, then how can we get up to 600%? Well, again, you rotate. Well, it's all about timing. It's all about when, right? Sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes you don't want to rotate everything all at once. So my big thing is, what happens to theta if XRP hits $9, $10 and Bitcoin is breaking out? Obviously, theta is going to move up. Okay, so we have a three-wave move. Theta is going to move up. It all depends how the recovery looks. See, this recovery was three-wave-ish. It was impulsive, but it was three-wave-ish. If we get a nice move up and then a nice ABC, this thing can really, really accelerate fast. And then in that situation, theta whooped XRP's ass, okay, and in terms of percentages, right? So the question that the investor that I have is, what is more likely to happen? You know, I'm playing it nice and safe and conservative, but I'm going to flip extremely aggressive once I have something I can latch onto that says, yes, this is the case. Because we don't really know, first of all, if the Bitcoin wave is going to turn into a more complex situation, right? If this wave turns more complex, right? Because we're looking at this right here, right? You got your flat, you come up, you have a three-way pullback. Let's go, right? But we don't know if that's going to be the case, because it could be 3 down, it could be 3 up, and then it could be 3 back down, and it could still be much, much more downside for Bitcoin before then going up. And sometimes that could even be better, because why? Because it buys more time for the alts to get structurally situated. I like that word. Structurally situated, meaning you're building your bases, right? You're doing what you got to do, right? Like XRP is structurally situated, because back over here you had a three-wave move, but you came 3 waves up. You came, you could say 5 or 3 down, right? And you're building structure. You're building support. You're getting structurally situated for the big move, right? Like back over here, right? It took a long time for this to correct. And then once we got situated, then it was ready to go. So now we go back to theta. When does theta get structurally situated? Well, I don't have anything yet. And that's the issue I have, right? I'm not even holding theta right now for my trades. I'm still waiting. Now, again, there's nothing to do with my hodl position, my spot position, my investment position. Totally different than investing or trading, right? Because 90% of what I do is simply invest. That's it. 10% is trading, right? And out of that 10%, I would say more than 5% is swing trading. And then less than 5% is day trading. Day trading is way harder than swing trading, let me tell you. But swing trading, sometimes you can lose more money because it takes longer for that to play out. But that's another video, another day. But essentially, in order for theta to get structurally situated, meaning it just doesn't look like, you have a nice bottom, a bottom here and another bottom here. You got 5 waves, right? So I want to see, let's take a little box here. I want to see a little bit of structure get built in here, kind of like back over here. And you see this little structure right there? Right there. And you can see right here, look at the sideways nature, right? You pump up, you get 3 waves down, you get 1, 2, 3 waves up, and then you get 5 down, and then you explode, right? So if let's see, if I took a little bars pattern just to give us a little bit of visual, because I'm a visual guy here, and let's put this over here, and then let's make that much smaller, right? And let's put that like something like that, right? So what that does is it gives us more structure down low. So you're not, just like right over here, you see that structure there? So instead of the wave coming down and straight up, coming down, coming straight up, you're coming down and you're building structure, then you come up. Much better, right? So that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for it to get structurally situated. Now, this could be the low here, and I'm already starting to add to my position. Now for my trade, I'm kind of just waiting a little bit more so on the smaller time frames, but on this time frame, it looks really, 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 really good, right? Again, you got the divergence, you got the double bottom. So if we can move up here, if we can do something like, let's do this, because this looks like a flat, right? And this looks like the 5th wave. So if that 5th wave is done, I don't really like it a lot because of this 3-wave move here. I really need to see this 3-wave move turned into something like that, right? And then once we can do that, now we have 2 hits at the bottom, 1, 2, 3 hits at the top. See, that's what you want. And now you're starting to build a structure, right? And then once you get up there, then you kind of flag out a little bit. And then right here is where I would consider rotating. Hopefully XRP by that time, by the time we get up here, hopefully it had already broken out a little bit. You can then rotate a little bit into theta. Why? Because now theta is structurally situated. It's cocked back like a loaded gun ready to go up, right? So you got the shoulder, the head, the shoulder, you know. So that's kind of what we want to look for. That way, once we get, once we get up here a little bit, right? Once we get up here a little bit, we kind of start coming down. We start accelerating back to the upside. It's probably not going to look like that. It's going to be much more challenging than that. But essentially, right? You have your base down in here. You would want to buy right there, right? So let it. You can even do it now, but you can let it play out. Let it get back to the top. Then wait for the pullback. And I know that's hard for some people because they just can't wait because they feel like it's going to go at any moment. And I know the feeling, especially with everything news related, at any moment, Trump can tweet out something crazy and it'll be something, it just depends, right? Or Elon Musk. So if you look at the percentages from right around there up to there, you're looking at 300% or so, or if you get in now, it's more, right? But my thinking is if we get back up to this level, I feel like we will break that level. So, I feel like if we do work our way back up, I feel like we will flag out and we will break it. And then that's where the big money comes from right there. And that is, all about the art of rotation. And again, if you want to check that out, I try to do 2 member videos a month. So then, the next member video, we'll talk about the rotation and kind of like a game plan on how to play it and what to look for and, what to do if it doesn't work out, right? So, and it all depends what cryptos you're rotating into or what you're rotating out of. So for me, I'm all in XRP and I'm just waiting until this puppy, because this one is like super primed, like it's ready today if it wanted to go. So, if you look at, if I can get it up here, the S&P 500, you can see this is one of the signals. We have completely broken out. Remember, everyone goes, oh, it's bear market, it's over, you know, we're going to crash. And I thought maybe that's a possibility as well, right? But what did I say? I said Trump wants to detach himself from the Biden stock market. So he liquidated the market with tariff fears. But he knows, he's smart, he's been around a long time, so he knows the market's going to come back. But what that did is it detached himself from the Biden stock market so that they can say, oh, this is your stock market, Trump, you're the reason. And he goes, oh, really? Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And they're like, wait, what? I thought you said it was Biden's. No, you just admitted it was mine. And now that you admitted it's mine, now I can run the sucker back up. And now you have to say it's my stock market, right? So just a little thing here. But you also are coming into 5. You got, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, and it looks like we're getting 5. So we'll see how that plays. But, you know, stock market is always hard for me because I just don't understand the wave structure. It's just a lot of waves. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, how do you count that? It's difficult, right? So, you know, guys spend all day long trying to count waves, and crypto is easier because crypto doesn't trend like that. It's very corrective. There's a lot of flats, and it could be more challenging at times. But to me, the stock market sometimes is more challenging because you think it's stopped and it's not, and then it keeps going, and it's like it's just hard to get a read on it sometimes. But yeah, we have an all-time high for the stock market. That's exactly what you want. You got I think the NASDAQ as well. So other than that, everything is okay. So let's take a look at XRP on the smaller time frames. What the hell just happened over the last 30 minutes? Well, you can see we got a big breakout here. So that was cool, right? We got the breakout, and it looks like it potentially met the measured move. Remember, we were looking at this kind of like a inverse head and shoulders, or you could do the big shoulder here. Like you can look at it like from like this perspective, like a shoulder, a head, and a shoulder. You also have a shoulder, a head, and a bigger shoulder. So, but if we just look at the smaller one, and we take the measured move down here to the top of the neckline, and then we put that right there, you can see that we haven't quite hit the measured move yet, but it's probably close. So I wouldn't buy this right now. I mean, you know, it's always a risk when you buy a big green candle, you know, because you have, look, you have all the resistance down there, resistance, you know. So, but from the descending triangle perspective, I think we broke out of it, so we don't have to worry about that. The smaller one, this one here. Oh, look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. We did it. We did it. We broke above that descending triangle before it was too late, right? Because remember, that was my thumbnail. I basically said, are we going to come like this and go down, or are we going to break out? I mean, it's do or die. I literally, we were just talking about that the last video. Do or die. The last 2 thumbnails were this right here. So can we break it before we succumb to the descending triangle? And we did, and that's exactly what we wanted to see. So now you get rid of this line, you take this line, you put it right there, and now that's the next objective, getting above, what is that, 230, 235 or so, 233. So, by the way, Theta Fuel, I can't leave without looking at Theta, is up 5%. Look at Bitcoin down, NEAR down, Trump down, right? ICP down, Ethereum flat, SHIB down, Pol is a little bit up, ADA is a little bit up, Litecoin, I mean, you know, it's pretty much kind of down to flat, but a little bit mixed. But look, Theta Fuel is up 5%. What's going on here? And it was up 7 a little earlier. I like Theta Fuel. It looks like a nicer three-way move. It looks more assertive. 1, 2, 3, like a big 3, a big punch, right? Where when you look at Theta itself, you could see it's 1, 2, 3. You know, it barely took the high. You know, it's a little tiny baby wave. Where Theta Fuel actually had a big monster move, so it looks more like 1, 2, 3. Let's get 4 and 5, and then when we get 4, maybe that could be where we get the flat, and then Theta goes for 5, and that's when Theta goes for the third. So remember, nothing I say here is financial advice. I could be totally dead wrong. Always know that. And that goes for all of my videos every day. So yeah, we talked about Ethereum in the last video, and circle back to SHIB here. You know, SHIB looks like it could be done, right? You have an impulse, you have 3 down, you have 3 up, and then you come here. So it looks like maybe that's a flat, and then we can keep pumping up. So let's see how it all plays out. But anyway, that'll do it for this video. Yeah, we looked at the monthly close, the quarterly close, right? So we could have a pretty exciting week here. But the big question is, if Bitcoin has another push up, and it's almost done, that's going to carry XRP up to reach its target. How does the rest of the altcoins fare? Because a lot of the altcoins are still down in the dumps, right? Now, SHIB probably has a good chance because it has this nice 3-way pullback. It's still on top of its primary base. It had 5 waves down, and it's still holding the base, so it's become exhausted. So that move could be fast and furious, right? Where you look at something like, you know, ADA, which we'll talk about later, but even ADA, right? You know, if this is kind of like a 1, 2, 1, 2 here, and it's like revving up to go up, you know, how much time do we have before Bitcoin says, okay, the party's over? That's the big question. And will the altcoins have enough time to break? I think a lot of them will, but I think a lot of them won't. It just depends how long they've been correcting. Like XRP's been correcting the longest, so it's next in line to go. So yeah, let's see how it all plays. But anyways, I will catch you on the next one. All right, cheers.